Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to The Ice Project inside YKTR. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice Project. Welcome to the Ice Project.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show, talking all things YKTR, YKTR sports, and the thought process behind a lot of things, the good, the bad, and also the ugly as well. So, end of financial year, halfway through the calendar year, and I sort of felt myself being stuck this year. This is one of the hardest years I've had in business, but like, you know the saying, new levels, new devils. You want it to get harder. Think of a video game. Imagine Mario, for example. Imagine if you play the game and once you get past the first level, you just go back to the first level. You want business, you want life to get a little bit harder. You want to put yourselves in positions that are a little bit harder because as the challenger gets harder, the growth is much bigger as well. So right now we're in the scaling phase with YKTR Sports, YKTR, and I'm in charge of that as well. And I thought it was sort of this year, I just felt like I'm working harder, but sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in the mud. But I've always found in the past when I'm in this phase, when I'm grinding away, it's not too long. If I don't give up, it's not too long before you get that little growth. So if you think of my start of my journey, started like that, up a little, up a little, up a little. And now I'm in a phase where I've got a couple businesses to run and more money on the line and more staff to look after. I'm just in that little grind phase right now. And hopefully there's a little growth that happens from that. I once had a mentor, Ronnie Jellick. He told me very early on in my entrepreneur journey, he goes, you want to be on your business, not in your business. And right now, the reason why I'm feeling stuck, the reason why I feel like I'm grinding hard, but there is no growth, I'm too much in my business. I'm too much into the day-to-day running. And the example he gave me is, here's if you want to get to A to B, he goes, right now, when you're in the business, you're like a guy in a car. You're stuck in traffic. You're trying to get to the point. Like think of a motorway at rush hour. You're getting frustrated, you're on the horn, and that's what your day-to-day grind sort of feels like when you're in the business. Because what you want to do is you want to be cruising. You want to be up in the helicopter, cruising over, looking down. And when you see everything from a bird's eye view, you can see where the problems are. And for me this year, and even though I know this stuff, it's taken me a while to sort of recognize it. And it's just the same thing. It's like, oh, I've been in this phase before, even though there's a lot more at stake. It's exactly the same thing as well. So right now, too much in my business. I'm going to be on my business. So when you're on your business, you're looking down, you've got bigger decisions to make. And basically your job as an entrepreneur and a business owner is not only survival, but also growth. And how do you get growth? You've got to get more cash flow into the system. Got to go out to new different markets. And I feel like me trying to do everything stops you from doing the things that are actually really important to the business. So that's my biggest lesson I've learned so far this year. YKTR Sports, I think we're in a really good spot. Last year, I feel like we're just doing too much content across too many platforms. I was everywhere, Scope was everywhere. Everything was just kind of getting confused, and we sort of focused on a couple key shows. Now, the exciting part about YKTR Sports is Willie Mason is coming on board. Nothing formal. There's no contracts that have been put in place. It's just we're kind of gone old school with the handshake agreement. But I think we generally both believe that there's a space in sports media that we can change. The thing I love about Mace, straight up, just fucking tells it how it is. Entertaining. When I sit there and I podcast him, sometimes I just feel like a mad guest just sitting there listening and go, yeah. Like he's so entertaining, knowledgeable. He's been there, he's done that. He's not just a guy who watches the game. He watches the game, but he can understand the experiences from it. But not only from the football standpoint, he understands admin. He understands what goes on behind the scenes. He understands culture. So I'm pumped that he's underneath YKTR Sports, and you're going to see him on the sports show a lot more. And what that does is allow me to sort of pull back as well. And I'm just probably not in a position where I want to be watching every game of football. And when you're doing a YKTR sports show that's based around league, you want someone who's really involved with it, who understands the game. I understand the game very well, but right now I'm so busy that I don't want to be watching football all weekend as well. I want to be watching the main games and having a little takes here and there, but I think Scope, he loves it. He's watching all the games right now, NRLW, he's watching those as well. So he understands everything coming up. And I think Mace is the perfect complement for it as well. Also jump in every now and then, but pumped to have Mace on the board. Sometimes pumped to have Mason on board. Sometimes you just got to replace yourself with someone a lot better. And he's a lot better than me. So pumped to have him underneath the show. The other part of that is he's got some ideas that he wants to execute. He's just never really had a platform to do it on. If you look at someone like Mace and like a Fox Sports, probably like a little bit too controversial, or he just say what he wants. He don't give a fuck, and I love that. Where we're a platform where he can build shows on top of that. Him and Scope have got an idea for a show, which I think is going to be really fucking cool. But yeah, we just need to execute it at the same time. So pumped to have Mason on board. You want, yeah. I don't know. If you told me YKTR Sports was going to have a Willie Mason on board after 2 years, I would have been pretty excited from the start. And it's like, how do we grow from there as well? The boys, staff. So we started moving some roles around. Scope's been awesome. He's been going really great. Moved to full-time and deserves that. And I think he's going to really start to grow over the next couple of years and move towards like sort of radio gigs. And I'm excited for Scope. Having a baby on the way as well. So that sort of gets you in line or in focus. And Scope's the ultimate teammate. He's great to have around the office. He's the oldest in the office as well. So very, very calm, like sees everything from every angle, can see where I'm coming from, can see where Caleb's coming from, can see where Jackson's where it's come from, and just chime in when he needs to. So he kind of plays a big brother role around the office, and I love having him here, and he's been awesome for us, and he's been awesome for me. Lukey's my main guy as well, so just sort of showing them some growth patterns and some opportunities they can have with YKTR Sports, and some of them are around equity, so I think he deserves those. So pumped to have Lukey on board, and me and him have always had this mad working relationship. He just gets me, and I've been lucky. He's one of my first hires, and really helped YKTR grow. Jackson sort of had an up and down year just in terms of personal life, but when he's here, he's awesome. Sometimes he gets a little bit lost in the sauce with Simmy, and Simmy's charismatic and fun to be around, and I can see why you get lost into that sort of vibe. And they're both single, they both got a show together, so they've got this little bromance and chemistry. The thing with Jacko is like I don't get caught up too much, and I love Simmy too, but Jacko, you're a full-time employee. I need you to be doing your role and doing it well. And his role's very wide. I've narrowed his role down, and one of his main ones is going to be a doozy. He's going to look after the doozy club properly. We tried Simmy early on, didn't work. Chico didn't work because he's moving back to football. Jackson's going to spend a lot of time there. We're building a new website out, and it's going to have a special section for Doozy Club. Right now, we're just across too many different platforms. A little bit ugly, a little bit clunky. I don't like it. But his job is going to be looking after the Doozy Club, organising the events, organising the giveaways, organising the content, and be the main communication touch point there as well. So excited for that. That's going to be a big part of his role. And then he'll mostly move towards YKTR Sports and producing and focusing on merch around there as well. So he's got a bit more defined role. He just sort of rocked up, Tulsey, and just asked if he could have a job, and sort of gave it to him. And it sort of felt like that the first 6 months. I was just like, oh, help me here. Oh, let's do this. But now he's just a bit more defined. So I'm excited to see his growth over the next year. Simmy. Yeah, pumped for Simmy. He's fighting Justin Hodges next week. The thing about Simmy is he's so charismatic that he can work himself into any room. And I say this, and this is like one of the ultimate compliments, in my opinion, is like he's like a chameleon. You could put him in a room with 8 to 10-year-old kids, and you could have all those kids laughing. You could put him in a room with teenagers, have them laughing, all the way up to 60-year-olds. And he's charismatic like that. If you could zone in, like, he'd be great at sales. I honestly think he'd be awesome at sales, like just from a business standpoint. But the thing when you're so charismatic in different places, you can tend to hop around and not commit to anything. And the thing about this fight, and I don't really care if he wins or loses, to be honest. Like, it's just going to be content for us. He can't really pull out now. And the one criticism I would have about Simmy is commitment. Just picking something and committing to it and going through with it. And I think this boxing thing is going to be really great for him. I think he can't pull out now. He's going to be in the ring. No one else around him. It's just going to be him and his coach, and he's going to have someone trying to punch your face off. And one thing you learn about sports and like working towards something and get into game day or get into the boxing fight, and the other side of it, once you come out the other side of it, there's reward from that. And you learn that I learned that through playing rugby league and whatever sport you guys play, or if someone's trained for a marathon and got to that, or got to the end of an 8-week challenge, or wanted to lose 5 kgs, and you feel the euphoria from the other side of from that, and you feel like you want to go back and do something again. I think that's what boxing is hopefully that's what boxing is for Simmy. So I hope this is like a solid stepping stone for the next phase of his life, because he's got so much fucking talent, and it's just trying to garnish it and narrow it down and just push it into a direction that's successful. And I'll try and help him as much as I can. But yeah, he's just going to do what he wants. The great saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Caleb. So sort of me and Caleb have had conversations over the past couple of weeks. and they've been some of them have been heated, some of them out of frustration from both parties as well. But we've sort of come up with a solution with Caleb. And first and foremost, I love Caleb. I think he's a great kid. He's got a great heart. But in saying that, he's also 18 as well. And my mum used to say, like, I had first grade coaches telling me what to do, and my mum and dad were really great for me growing up. But when you're an 18-year-old, sometimes you just don't want to hear anything. You just want to go out and learn on your own. And I think sometimes as you get a little bit older, you just have to go let them make their own, find their own path and learn their own lessons. Like you can read a book about heartbreak, or you can actually get your heart broken from a girl or from a guy and understand how that feels. There's only so many lessons you can talk about and read about. Sometimes you have to go through things. So the thing with Caleb is YKTR's his first job. Pretty fucking crazy first job for him. We found him when he was 17. He knew scope. He come in, never worked a full-time job before. We gave him a full-time job. But part of that is rocking up and being punctual and being there from Monday to Friday and not coming to work and going to sleep on the couch for a couple hours. It's like when you come to work, you come to work. So that was always the confrontation that me and Caleb had. Work is fucking awesome. His content is so fucking elite. It's made us a better brand, and I always credit him for that. But what I sort of said to Caleb is, when it reminds me of school. So you know when you're at school and you're doing math equation, and remember, like, you just couldn't have the answer. You have to show how it worked out. And that was always the sort of analogy I gave to Caleb, is like, your product is good, or everything that you produce is good, but it's more so just the day-to-day, rocking up on time, being punctual, like rocking up and saying hello to the boys and with a smile on your face and dressing well. And that's the hard part about full-time work, is like sometimes it would feel like a grind for him. Imagine being 17 and you come to YKTR and you make videos and people starting to recognize you right now. Not a bad looking dude, starting to get girls, starting to hang around TikTok influencers, seeing what they make. He's influenced by a lot of things outside of this office, which I can't control. So the conversation we had was like, he felt like he was in a position to earn more money. And I didn't feel like he was in this position right now to do it. Content wise, awesome. I just go, bro, I just need you to rock up on time and be a part of the team and be productive when you're here as well. So he sort of had options to earn money elsewhere as well. So I've given him those options, and we haven't fired him or anything, but we're just going to focus on, all right, Caleb, you're in here these 3 days and you get 4 days outside to make as much money as you want. And I want you to succeed. I want you to be great. But a big part of that was moving from like a full-time salary towards contract work as well. So he understood that. And what we come up with was, I was trying to tell him these things and it wasn't really going through. I was like, bro, I want you to go out and experience the real world. But in saying that, I'm going to give you a safety net, and I want you to, you got 6 months. So when we get to January 2023, if you want a full-time job back at YKTR, I've got a job here waiting for you and ready to roll. I want you to just go out and experience the real world and see what it's like chasing jobs and chasing up invoices and sort of stuff like that. And 2 things are going to happen. One, he's going to go out there and kill it and make more money and potentially be more successful than he would have been at YKTR, which would be great. I can't wait. I hope he does that. I'll go shake your hand and go, fuck you, mate. Keep going. If you ever need me, you've got my number, blah, blah, blah. Or the other part is he might go into the real world, might hate it, might realize that dealing as a freelancer, always chasing work, is not for him. He might like the comfort of a salary. And sometimes the comfort of a salary is in times like COVID. Like say last year, we were on lockdown for 2-3 months. My biggest issue was making sure all the boys got paid their full wage. Didn't care if you're at work, but you lose that as a salary, as you're not on salary and stuff like that. So you just want him to go out and learn those experiences, but also give him a safety net where he could potentially come back as well. And like I said, I love Caleb's work. He's made our content a lot better. But you just want to go at him and let him experience the world. So we're going to do that, and we'll still support him. He's still going to be making our content. We'll be paying for that as a freelancer. But you just want him to go learn those life experiences as well. Earls Collection. Louis runs a pretty cool brand called Earls. I've known Louis for like 12 years, and they're sort of looking for office spaces right now. I sort of said, bro, come move in with us. So he's going to potentially be in a couple times a week. Didn't come through this week, but the thing I love about this is, and if you've seen my podcast with Paco and G'd Up, it was like, even though we're in the same industry, same building, probably same demographic, they probably target a different area than we do. you see that sort of mutual love there? It's like, just because he's successful doesn't mean I'm not going to be successful. And just because he's successful doesn't mean he's taking any money out of my pocket or any growth out of my business. I just need to be working harder. And I'm better off hanging around him because he's going to teach me a few things, and vice versa. So I find a lot of people when they go into business, especially similar industries, and I get a lot of people coming up to me, like if they're drunk or they just started a clothing brand, they're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be your biggest competition one day. And like, I don't see competition in other people. I just see competition against the person I was like last year. And this happens a lot. Like when I'm out, like guys just starting brands and like, oh, fuck your brand shit. Like we're gonna dominate you one day. And I was like, bro, cool. If you want to use that as motivation to get you guys off, cool, that's it. But I'm just legit competing against myself. And the best way you can compete against yourself is put yourselves in rooms with people that are better than you or a little bit higher than you, because then you'll start to grow like that. So with Earls, like I said, I've known Louis for ages. I was like, bro, just come in the office, we got plenty of space upstairs, grab a couple desks, I'll throw a couple of boys around, and let's just vibe. Let's just fucking talk about ideas, talk about creativity, talk about business, and just try and be like a little hub where we can bounce off each other and help each other grow and get better and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm excited. I got this mad collaboration idea. It won't be a cross between like clothes, but I want to talk to Louis about it, and hopefully we can execute it by August. He might not want it, might pitch it to G'd Up as well, but I think it's going to be fucking cool, and I've never seen anyone do it like this. So, yeah, that's a wrap on the show. Willie Mason on board, YKTR Sports. Biggest lesson I've learned in business: you want to be on your business, not in your business. Once you get to a certain point. Yeah, staff's been awesome. Kayla's going to move to a freelance type role. He's still going to be with us. He's got an option to come back after 6 months, and I hope he goes out and kills it, potentially never walks back again. But if he comes back, he's more than welcome. And hang around people, get in rooms. Even if you're in the same industry, even if you potentially see someone as competition, they're not your competition. You're your own competition. So, and Earls, hopefully they come in the building and we bounce ideas and we make each other's businesses better. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe.